Welcome to the Stable Spotlight. We've been doing this all day. It's a beautiful day. We're here at ETH Denver. Why don't we start with an intro? What's your name? What are you building?
Yeah, my name is Dante Remenick. I run ecosystem growth at Skale Labs with a focus on stablecoin payments and commerce. At the end of the day, we are a blockchain network, but what makes us unique is that we are not one blockchain. We're actually a network of interconnected blockchains, and everything that happens on this network has zero gas fees whatsoever, instant finality, super low latency, a lot of really cool features that makes sending money, instant and free and fun for everyone.
It's amazing. And as ecosystem growth, what does a typical day look like? Like, who are you talking with? Who are you, like, what are the specific relationships or partnerships or things that you spend most of your time doing?
Yeah, I like to describe it as I like to talk to smart people building cool things. I think in the stablecoin space, it's always really, really fun because there's this entire stack of payments that you need to consider. And when you go to a stablecoin company and you open up the hood, it's not one company. It's actually like 5 stablecoin companies that are all kind of utilizing each other. And so a lot of what I do is working with individuals, and a lot of the people that are using Scale are like Web 2 companies that have no idea how to build in Solidity or have no idea how to build an actual payments and commerce application. So a lot of what I do is going around and making sure that I understand who the best people are in their respective categories, whether it be wallet as a service or payment rails or TradFi APIs or credit cards or whatever it might be, so that when we go and talk to Web 2 import export businesses or Web 2 PSPs or whatever it might be, that not only are we providing them the best services possible, but we can also pull in all the right partners that we know and trust to really fill out the rest of that payment stack.
Awesome. Let's talk specifically about import-export, since you brought it up. It seems like that is uniquely, especially for stablecoins, a category that is adopting this stuff really, really quickly. Like a lot of the infrastructure, a lot of the companies that are here today, I think that specific business use case, for whatever reason, I'd be curious to hear why, in your opinion, just seems to be really adopting this stuff quickly. And what's funny is like those companies don't seem, they're not like the most innovative Web3 forward. Like they're not trying to be innovative. They're just trying to like save money and run their business. What are those conversations like when you're talking with these import-export businesses, for example, and what gets them most excited about Scale?
Yeah, so I think like all of us are building businesses, and businesses are designed as engines to solve problems. And I think that the problem is biggest with companies like import-export businesses who are losing, in many cases, millions of dollars per year into the ether on these cross-border payment fees, right? And so if you go up to an import-export business, it's not a very difficult conversation to say, hey, you guys are losing all of this money in import-export fees or, international money fees. How about no? How about you don't need, right? How about you don't need to lose that anymore, and you can retain that as revenue or reduce your expenses or whatever it might be. And that's a very, very like tangible thing, right? You can go in there and show them on their expense reports, like, hey, this is what you guys can do. And that conversation is much easier than if you're going and having some, esoteric conversation with a DeFi company or something like that, because you're going out there and solving a real immediate problem that, these people think about every single waking day.
Cross-border, big payment volumes,
yeah,
non-Web3 native, crypto native companies. In your experience when you're talking to them, is it a pretty quick sale? Like they're just like, yeah, I'm in, this makes sense, or how are those conversations going?
Well, here's the thing about Scale is like we are just the blockchain network, right? We have some bells and whistles on top, but at the end of the day, we're the settlement layer for all of this money. And so we're not the ones who are going out and actually, building the interface for these payments or, working with local currency liquidity providers or anything like that. So oftentimes my job is a lot more educational. It's just like, again, hey, this is what you can do with this technology. This is the problem that you guys are having. And this is how much money you could, save or make. So I consider myself very much to be a teacher. And then, once they're getting in on the ideas of, these stablecoin things might be kind of useful, that's when I can really go in and, bring in partners like Borderless, for example, or CoinFlow to really come in there and seal the deal together, if you will.
Yeah. So in many ways, these companies or people on the front end who are moving money, they may not even know or need to know that Scale is being used.
We have 50 million users. I cannot tell you how many of those users even knows that Scale exists. And I wear that very, very much as like a badge of pride, because it's something that makes Scale very unique, where we have the ability to go after Web 2 either businesses or consumers, and they can do all this really cool stuff without knowing that they're on the blockchain.
That's awesome. What is making you excited about the future? 2025, What's something unique about this year that last year maybe you weren't thinking about, you weren't building, that is coming, or something that gets you pumped?
Yeah, I mean, I do a lot of stuff within the Web 2, Web 2.5 space. When you get a lot of buzz around this stuff, it makes it really easy to go out there and sell these folks on solutions that are getting to be a little bit more widely acceptable. I think, beyond 2025, I'm even more bullish. I think, like, I'm building everything that I do off of kind of three primary assumptions, three principles, which is all money will be on chain because it's a more efficient version of that money. Second is that there's going to be thousands and thousands of stablecoins that are going to be popping up. And then the third is that, an average person is going to use multiple different stablecoins every single day. And I think that every single day we are inching closer to that reality. And I'm really excited about that.
What would you say just on the thousands and thousands of stablecoins comment? Slightly spicy. I don't know if everyone would agree. What would you say to the person who's like, yeah, there's probably just going to be a couple big winners, and why would we need so many of these stablecoins?
Well, a few things. First of all, there's 180 fiat currencies in the world right now. I think if you look at the dollar, obviously the strongest currency in the world, there's 100 different versions of the dollar already out there. If there's 180 different fiat currencies, each government eventually is going to be forced to, build their own stable or risk losing their entire economy, their entire currency to the dollar, right? So I think that's going to force the hands of a lot of government. But I also think, right, you see large financial institutions, everyone from card providers to, the largest banks in the world, who are also experimenting on having their own stable currencies, right? That stuff is already happening. And so as an average consumer, I think that I'm going to be using multiple different stablecoins every single day, depending upon what card I use, where I'm shopping, what the geo is, who I'm shopping with, et cetera, et cetera. And for me, like I said, a lot of what I do is building out the infrastructure for all of those tokens to exist in a really seamless, invisible manner.
That's awesome. I tend to agree that there's going to be more stablecoins than people might realize, but at the end of the day, the end user, the end application, they're not going to need to care. They're not going to need to know, and it's
absolutely
really just going to be. In my the hope is that the application, the person that owns that customer relationship, is going to be in the position to hopefully be rewarded by the benefits economically of that asset, because they're the ones who really are owning that relationship.
Yeah, payments.
Do you tend to agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, payments are designed to be invisible. Like, if you go up to my mom or my grandma and ask her what an acquiring bank is, like, no shot, right? So payments are designed to be invisible. This is an extension of what payments can be. Again, stablecoins reflect a more efficient version of money, and I think that we're all sort of pushing and pulling the sled in the same direction, which makes me incredibly excited.
What's the biggest misconception that you see people have about Scale right now?
I think a lot of people view Scale as like a gaming chain specifically, and while we've had a lot of gaming in the past, because obviously, like zero gas, instant finality makes it good for that. We do a lot more than just gaming. Like I said, we're starting to get really, really deep into payments and commerce. At the end of the day, we are an infrastructure, right? We are an infrastructure that provides people with the tools and resources that they need to build the best possible versions of their applications that they can. And we're taking this stuff a lot more seriously than other people, and we're seeing the results of that pretty quickly.
Love it. Where can people find you as we close? What's final thoughts?
You can find me on pretty much any social at Dante Remenick. I'm sure our kind friends will attach that in the notes or something like that. You can also check out Skale at scale.space. But yeah, hit me up at any time. We're happy to meet with smart people building cool things, like I said.
Boom. That was your stable spotlight.
Thanks for having me.